Good afternoon, people. Watchwoman 65, Lisa Boyce here. I have an article here that is from called the DC Clothesline. Is millions of pigs and chickens and cattle are being euthanized while the media warns of shortages that are coming. Now, the thing I don't understand, if there's going to be a food shortage, why are they euthanizing all these animals? Preferably a meat shortage, then why are all these animals being euthanized? I don't get that. Things are happening, and like Pastor Tim says, the pages of the Bible are literally, the letters are coming off the pages of the Bible. Prophecy is being fulfilled. You look at Venezuela. Now it costs, a month's wages for a dozen of eggs? Where is that in the Bible? Oh yeah, Revelation 6:6. Part of the horses, the four apocalyptic horses. That's famine. Pay attention. It's going to come here too. What I don't understand, if they're talking about a food shortage, why are they euthanizing the animals? Well, let's look at this article. It says more than 26 million Americans have lost their jobs during the coronavirus lockdowns so far. And that has created an unprecedented demand at food banks all over the nation. In many cities, vehicles start lining up, even here in Ohio, which, by the way, Governor Mike DeWine has extended the stay-at-home order for everyone in the state of Ohio until the end of May. Okay? Go figure that. It says vehicles started lining up at food banks at the crack of dawn. And in some instances, the lines have literally stretched for miles. But at the same time, farmers all over America have been dumping millions of gallons of milk, disposing of millions of pounds of fresh vegetables, and putting farm animals to death at a rate we have never seen before. In fact, Reuters is reporting that millions of pigs, chickens, and cattle will be euthanized because they can't be sold. Unlike other parts of the globe, we actually have plenty of food right now, but we can't get much of that food to the people because so many food processing facilities have been shut down because of COVID-19. Now, I'm not knocking this virus once again. I'm not saying people aren't dying from it, and they have my condolences. But at the same time, this virus is being used. And I said this was going to happen before. This virus is being used for something called control over the people. It comes a point where, I don't know, you got to open up. I'm just saying. But we know that this is judgment. Ever since that peace plan that happened on January 28th with Trump and Netanyahu, hell has broken loose. The judgment on this nation has fallen tremendously. And the people that be can't see it. But judgment has definitely fallen. Every time I say that, I get someone saying, oh, but we're in the seals, or we're in the has the tribulation started? No, the tribulation has not started. No, we are not in the tribulation. Tribulation starts when the rapture of the church happens, which the way things are going, like I said in the past, and like I say every day, keep looking up. because it's going to happen soon. This article says what we are witnessing is nothing short of a tragedy. Even though there are so many needy families all across America at this time, so many farmers are being forced to waste what they have produced because food distribution pipelines have been brought to a standstill. The following is how Forbes is describing the current state of affairs. Dairy farmers are trying to decide between dumping their milk and selling their dairy cows for beef. Contract chicken growers on the Eastern Shore have been asked to depopulate nearly 2 million chickens. Hog farmers in Iowa and Minnesota are starting to euthanize their pigs for contract and corporate farmers, producers in the food system who are obligated to larger entities. The options are limited. That's out of Forbes. Sorry about that sound. Now that's just out of Forbes today. That little note there. It says I have a feeling that we are going to end up deeply regretting letting so many resources go to waste during this time. It says in Iowa, piglets are being aborted. Piglets are being aborted by the thousands. In Minnesota, tens of thousands of chickens are being gassed to death. And in Wisconsin, farmers have been pouring countless gallons of milk on the ground. Once again, I asked a question. I can't, because I don't get it. If we are in such a famine for foods, why are they doing this? Maybe someone can answer this question. I got a feeling what it is. And I know that we're headed, like I've said, we're headed towards the tribulation. We are headed towards the tribulation. And then, like I said before, get this in your head. If we're this close to the tribulation, how much closer are we to the rapture? Tyson Foods is facing a new set of challenges in small communities around the country where we employ over 100,000 hardworking men and women. We're being forced to shutter our doors. This means one thing. The food supply chain is vulnerable. As pork, beef, and chicken plants are being forced to close even for short periods of time, millions of pounds of meat will disappear from the supply chain. As a result, there will be a limited supply of our products available in grocery stores until we are able to reopen our facilities that are currently closed. Now, let me tell you what Trump did yesterday. He signed an executive order to keep the packing plants open. That's what he's done. Now, I don't know if it's too late. I don't know what's going to happen. I have no idea. But I really don't know if it's what's going to happen with that. He wants them to stay open regardless of how many people are sick in these plants. Honestly, that can make matters worse. And Smithfield Foods has also released an anonymous statement. It says here, during this pandemic, our entire industry is faced with an impossible choice. Continue to operate to sustain our nation's food supply or shutter in an attempt to entirely insulate our employees from risk. Smithfield Foods, the largest global pork producer owned by the Chinese, group, said in a statement on Friday, "It's an awful choice. It's not one we wish on anyone. It's impossible to keep protein on tables across America if our nation's meat plants are not running. Across the animal protein industry, closures can have severe, perhaps disastrous repercussions and down the supply chain, the statement said. Beyond the implications to our food supply, our entire agricultural community is in jeopardy. Farmers have nowhere to send their animals and could be forced to euthanize livestock, effectively burying food in the ground. We have a stark choice as a nation. We are either going to produce food or not, even in the face of COVID-19. So ultimately, these big corporations are scared to death of being sued into oblivion by their workers if they stay open during the pandemic, which Trump signed an executive order yesterday or the day before, ordering them to stay open, regardless of how many people are out because of COVID-19. And so this is why it's going to be necessary for the federal government to step in, which is what they did. Now, like I said, I don't know how serious, I don't know what entails the executive order. I don't know what's going to take place. Samsung, watch cat. But he signed an executive order yesterday. So we shall see what happens. But again, because if the food supply, with all this that is going on, if the food supply shuts down, you have a catch-22 here. You have people in the meat plants that are sick and can't work. But yet, stop that. Oh, goodness gracious. You have people who are in the food supply who can't work, but yet, this cat is crazy. But yet, you have people, sit down now. Get down. Stop. You have people who need a job, but you have, let me put it like this. If the meat supply goes down with everything around us that's happening now, there would be a food shortage off the chain in America. There would be a dire food shortage supply. So Trump had to sign an executive order to try to get these people to stay working regardless of COVID-19. It's bad enough that the unemployment has reached 30 million. If the food supply goes, so goes America, as we know it. But folks, we don't know how long that executive order is going to hold, if it's going to hold at all. There was someone on Fox News. Samson, stop. There was someone on Fox News this morning who was saying that he don't know whether it's too late or not. So we just have to sit back and see, and like I said, just keep prayed up. This is not bad news for the church. Again, I tell you, if we're this close to the tribulation, how much closer are we to the rapture? And again, I say, look up, because our Redeemer is coming to get us. And I know a lot of people are like, well, we've been looking up for a long time, and we've been waiting. And you know what? And Lisa, we're getting discouraged. Well, guess what? Keep your focus on Christ. Keep your focus on the Creator, not the event. We look for the rapture, but we focus on Christ. How is that? We look for the rapture because we know it's imminent, but we focus on Christ. That's what we do. It's his supper time, so he's ready to eat. We look for the rapture, but we focus on Christ. So that's all I have for now, but I shall be back if the Lord permits. So, Samson and I are signing out for the time being. Have a nice afternoon. Thank you.